Fifth Monetary Policy Committee meeting for 2021 ends in Abuja. Nigeria on the road to raise $3 billion debt. IMF's Christina Georgieva under fire as investigations revealed meddling into doing business reports at the World Bank that favor China. This is Business Express and we are reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Musa Abubakar. Now, the Monetary Policy Committee meeting of the Central Bank of Nigeria has just ended in Abuja, with the Monetary Policy Committee votes to hold all policy parameters constant. MPC retains MPR at 11.5%. Dr. Taifa Abraham is an economist, and together we will be looking at the just concluded Monetary Policy Committee meeting, the fifth of the year. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much.
Okay, did you expect that outcome?
Yes, certainly, because no winning team was winning. For the past how many months now, we've seen a steady decline in inflation rate, and we've seen our GDP also growing from a negative zone to a very positive level. So that means growth is being accompanied by a decline in inflation rate. So if the 11.5% MPR rate, the cash reserve ratio of 27% and the liquidity ratio of 30% is doing the trick, then it's better to hold monetary parameters constant to see how everything will play out until there's a change again in another economic indicator before the central bank may want to look differently. What's annoying, as you can hear from the tone of the CBN governor, is that despite this standard and non-standard intervention of the central bank to ensure that the economy picks up, it's painful to see that the activities of some unorganized people
could it have gone another way?
You know, certainly it would have. It would have, because the CBN Act, as the Central Bank Governor rightly said, Section 2 of it, empowers the CBN to determine exchange rate. So to have some other people, information economics is very important in decision making. So, and information these days is from the internet. So to have everybody being swayed by a website that publishes or determines exchange rate outside that of the CBN is something that is swaying consumers and investors to the wrong direction. So it hurts to see that non-monetary policy activities is hurting the core monetary policy activity. So in terms of holding the parameters constant, it makes sense, because that is what has been doing the magic to see our economy perform better so far. But unlike you and I, who are being evaluated based on output or how we perform at work, for the CBN, once inflation goes up and exchange rate is not stable, it looks like everything the CBN is doing is not working. And it really hurts to see that brilliant institution of the CBN and all this stuff doing their best, and exchange rate is just going south like that.
Now, what are the scenarios before us?
The concept is this: with inflation trend coming down and our growth taking up, and global domestic and global forecast looking steady in terms of COVID-19 vaccination and helping to stamp away new variants of the virus, what we expect to see is steady growth in both domestic economy and global economy. And it's supposed to affect all monetary variables, especially the growth variables like inflation, interest rates, and exchange rate in particular. And what you see the CBN doing now is to ensure that we keep our exchange rate stable. what is not normal is to see exchange rate just going out of range as though it is not being programmed by some brilliant guys in that CBN to see where it goes. So the best thing to do right now is to silence the noise, the non-monetary noise that is hurting the official exchange rate market. And that BDC policy was the right step. And I like the tone of the CBN governor.
Okay,
there will be no
before
reversal.
we get to that tone, you made mention of COVID-19 vaccination. That appears to be very slow. When it's slow growth,
the way investors model this COVID-19 vaccination, people want to travel for business, people want to travel for tourism, people want to travel for one of two business or the other. They want to be sure, if I plan this business, I hope the country I'm going to will not close down. I hope the sector I want to invest in, there will not be a shutdown on the demand side again and stuff like that. So the idea is that increase in vaccination rates and compliance with COVID-19 guidelines is a signal in this 2021 post-COVID-19 era in terms of business decision. So aside ensuring that vaccine is going on, how people also comply with all those guidelines so that to keep our economy healthy is also something else.
Okay, the interventions by the banks, how do you assess that?
The intervention by the banks is very important, and you see the CBN governor emphasizing that. The banks right now need to do their best to reach out to credible consumers, to extend access to credit to them, reach out to credible investors, extend access to credit to them, comply with the CBN to ensure that the bank remains the official platform for forex selling or buying. Economics will define right from 200 level that the market is any arrangement where buying or selling takes place, any arrangement. So the bank right now is the arrangement for foreign exchange. So the bank should ensure that even people who come for $10 get their $10. There should be no delay. Information economics plays a very big role in financial market. And as soon as banks start delaying customers, they begin to create a window outside the official market, and that will expand the black market area and hurt the official policy again.
Okay, we will go after owner of Aboki. Is the CBN sending a message?
Well, the concept is CBN is out to silence any informal source that attempts to determine the exchange rate. I tell you this, the Secret Service of the United States of America, when it was established under Abraham Lincoln, the aim was not to protect the president, it was to defend the United States dollar. So protecting the value of our currency is almost a national security issue. It's something that is highly criminal. Section 2 of CBN is very clear. CBN determines exchange rate. So all you need to do to go against the CBN is to connive with major investors, major consumers. You form like a cartel that determines the price. You put it out on your platform, make it go viral, and you sway people with that information, and the official information making channel will begin to look like the shadow aspect. So CBN making that statement is just a clear determination that it will not allow anybody to go scot-free so long as that person's or group of persons aim is to hurt the value of our Naira and our identity, which the Naira represents.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tefa. It's always a pleasure having you on the program.
My delight. Thank you.
Okay. Now moving on, let's pause and take a look at prevailing exchange rates this Friday. The federal government of Nigeria has announced plans for a Eurobond issuance in the international capital market. The last time Nigeria accessed the ICM was November 2018. Virtual meetings with investors have been scheduled for this Friday and Monday, September 28, 2021. The Debt Management Office in a statement added that in order to avail local investors the opportunity to invest in the Eurobonds, meetings will also be held with local investors through the Eurobond issuance. Nigeria is expected to raise up to $3 billion but no more than $6.2 billion. The issuance, for which all statutory approvals have been received, is for the purpose of implementing the new external borrowing in the 2021 Appropriation Act, and proceeds are for the financing of various projects in the Act. After data irregularities on doing business 2018 and 2020 were reported internally in June 2020, the World Bank management has paused the next doing business report and initiated a series of reviews and audits of the report and its methodology. The bank, in a statement, said because the internal reports raise ethical matters, including the conduct of former board officials as well as current and/or former bank staff, management reported the allegation to the bank's appropriate internal accountability mechanisms. It added that trust in the research of the World Bank Group is vital. The statement affirmed the group remains firmly committed to advancing the role of the private sector in development and providing support to governments to design the regulatory environment that supports businesses. Going forward, it stated that the bank will be working on a new approach to assessing the business and investment climate. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has said that the heads of the fund, World Bank Group, World Health Organization and World Trade Organization have met with the CEOs of leading vaccine manufacturing companies to discuss strategies to improve access to COVID-19 vaccines, especially in low and lower middle income countries and in Africa. The task force, it said, expressed concerns that without urgent steps, the world is unlikely to achieve the end 2021 target of vaccinating at least 40% of the population in all countries, a critical milestone to end the pandemic and for global economic recovery. IMF, in a statement, said task force members noted that despite adequate total global vaccine production in the aggregate, and the doses are not reaching low and lower middle income countries in sufficient amounts, resulting in crisis of vaccine inequity. The task force encouraged countries that have contracted high amounts of vaccine doses and vaccine manufacturers to come together in good faith to urgently accelerate COVID-19 vaccine supplies to COVAX and AVAT, two multilateral mechanisms that are crucial for equitable distribution of vaccines. Let's see the commodities market. Global Market Update is next with Ineka Oko.
Hello and welcome to the Global Market segment. Global equities were on course for a second weekly drop, restrained by the impact of the COVID-19 Delta variant on economic reopening. In Asia, stocks were mixed amid the debt crisis at China Evergrande Group and a short-term cash injection by the central bank to help soothe nerves. The Hang Seng Index in Hong Kong closed 1.03% higher at 24,920.76. The Shanghai Composite also gained 0.19%, while the Nikkei 225 in Japan topped 0.58% to 30,500.05. European markets underperformed on Friday as global investors continued to weigh the prospect of slowing economic growth. Germany's DAX depreciated by 0.05%. CAC 40 of France also declined 0.03%, while London's FTSE added 0.01%. U.S. equities fell on Friday as Treasury yields pointed toward more movement out of heavyweight technology stocks. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was 57 points down. S&P 500 slipped 0.23%, while Nasdaq Composite declined 0.22%. African markets also fell as investors braced up for more volatility this September. Namibia Overall Index led losses with a 1.32% decline at 1,427.23, while Kenya's Nairobi Oil Share was the relative outperformer, gaining 0.39%. And that's Global Markets.
Niger State, considered one of the frontline states in Nigeria, suffering from incessant flooding year in, year out. Farmers usually suffer the consequence more following the destruction of farmlands during such disasters, thereby threatening food security. There is, however, solution to these challenges, as the federal government has initiated agricultural inputs distribution to farmers affected by the 2020 flooding. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu reports that the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, is carrying out the distribution mandate in Niger State.
32,557 farmers have been verified in Niger State to benefit from the agricultural input for onward application to farm production. The agricultural input for Niger State include 81,390 liters of herbicides, 48,834 liters of pesticides, and 68,944 liters of growth enhancer. Others are 16,278 12.5 kg bags of rice, 16,278 10 kg bags of maize, 2,252 units of water pump, and 8,139 units of sprayers, as well as 22,450 bags of 50 kg NPK fertilizer, 16,278 bags of 10 kg cowpea to the affected farmers. The beneficiaries commended the federal government for the thoughtful initiative aimed at reawakening their lost hope. Niger State Deputy Governor Mohammed Kezo was overwhelmed by this initiative of President Muhammadu Buhari, which he said will go a long way in ensuring food security in the country.
We want at long run that Niger State should be #1 in terms of food production in the next coming year.
Director General National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Mustafa Habib Ahmed, said the agency has put in place mechanisms to ensure that every affected farmer across the country benefited from the initiative.
The unprecedented green revolution ignited by Mr. President has no doubt spread across the nooks and crannies of Nigeria. Nigerians are no longer under the illusion of consuming imported food. Beyond saving foreign exchange, farming is now an illustrious and rewarding profession, thanks to President Muhammadu Buhari.
It is expected that at the end of this exercise, agricultural yields would have improved tremendously to achieve the desired objectives of ensuring food security in the country. From Mina in Niger State, Ilyasu Ali Yakubu.
That wraps this edition of Business Express. Remember to keep in touch with us, so do send in your comments, observations and suggestions. Also be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTS channel. Business Express returns Monday at 3 p.m. Be safe out there. I am Musa Abubakar. Enjoy the weekend.